Well, the National Convention chairperson, Professor William Gumede, says that the coalition could change the country's political landscape if handled properly.
I think this is the moment, and this group has been blessed to make potentially a couple of decisive decisions that may alter the trajectory of South Africa for the better. But it's going to be important that they rise as individually and collectively, that they rise above sort of petty squabbles, rise above egos, and that every decision they make, they have to think it has to be in the public interest of South Africa. It has to be for the future of all of us and for those still to be born.
The National Student Financial Aid Scheme Board has launched an investigation into its CEO. It follows allegations of irregular awarding of several tenders. The organization, Undoing Tax Abuse, has long been raising the alarm about some of these contracts, especially to do with payouts made to students recently. Let's speak now to CEO of Outa, Wayne Duvenage. A very good evening to you, Wayne. Welcome to the program. So now we're hearing that the CEO will be placed on special leave. Are you finally hopeful, convinced that action is being taken?
Yes, we are, and long last, because we've been warning them about this, not to go ahead with this deal, even before they did sign it, and they ignored us at their peril, and they can see the fallout now. But I think we want to see the board going much further than just placing Nongogo on special leave. He needs to be suspended, and the investigation needs to be swift. The facts are there. Disciplinary action needs to be taken. And we believe there's sufficient there to have him not only dismissed, but they should also lay charges against him.
And let's speak about the facts, because Andile Nongogo, who's now the CEO of NSFAS, now on special leave, as we're hearing, as you have detailed, was involved allegedly in the irregular awarding of contracts, not in his capacity as CEO, but in years prior.
No, also at NSFAS in his capacity as CEO. These are the contracts of 4 companies that were awarded the payment system to manage the transactions and the funds that are given to students. We had followed up on our previous projects with Services SETA, where he was, and we found extreme irregularities there. We raised those last year. But as we dug deeper, we found that one of the companies had moved now into supplying services at NSFAS, and Nongogo's fingerprints are all over that, from the point of view that a previous contract was stopped before it was put in place to handle the payments, and a new tender was put out, new suppliers, one of them being people that were involved in the previous, when he was previously at Services SETA, irregularities, and the rest is history. We've exposed so much money was going to be made by this tender process. I mean, it's the same old modus operandi where you fudge processes, tender processes, to make sure that selected companies get these contracts. They were not fit for the duties and the role at much higher costs, and we can see what's happened now.
And what did you find, Wayne, as far as Andile Nongogo's involvement, alleged at this stage, in the actual awarding or the process up to the awarding of these contracts? Did he act deliberately to make sure that they went to specific people?
Well, you need to just follow and join the dots, as the saying goes. But at the Services SETA, he signed for a lot of those grossly overinflated purchases, where T-shirts were costing 4,600 rand, and umbrellas 44,000 rand for an umbrella, 264,000 rand for 6 branded umbrellas, that type of thing. And then and also at NSFAS, we had that. At the branding of a vinyl box, that might have been at Services SETA, 302,000 rand. I mean, we've had a look at it. It was a wooden box with additional vinyl branding on the side. So again, and he signed for these contracts that took place, and the invoices as the CEO there. But at NSFAS, it was very clear to us the modus operandi of getting these 4 companies, and he was very involved in the process, to be the successful tenderers to manage this entire payment process for students funding. And they were, as soon as we started to raise the heat, they started to decrease the amount that they were going to take. Initially, they were going to charge 102 rand on student bank accounts for a monthly fee. That was quickly reduced to 29, eventually to 12 rand, which is still double what other service providers can offer. You can imagine if this wasn't raised, if these issues didn't come to the fore, how much money these 4 service providers, who, by the way, needed to have a financial services license, they needed to be licensed properly. They weren't. They changed the tender to suit one of the tenderers who had a link to a service provider. But that's not how these contracts should be awarded, and it is tainted, and it is so deeply, tainted with corruption.
And how clear then, Wayne, are the reasons to you for all of these actions to make sure that these companies, despite being poorly equipped to handle work of this magnitude, lack of experience, how clear are the reasons why there was such a push for them to get this work? Who was going to benefit? Are there clear links between perhaps the owners and people within NSFAS?
We've written quite an extensive report on this, and it's on our website. We've got a lot of detail in there as to how the links were made, how we linked the various players up, how certain people that really these companies weren't around, weren't in the space and operating in the technical specialist fields that they're supposed to be operating in for any amount of time. You'll see in the report, if you take the time to read it, and it's quite an extensive one put together by our investigations manager, Rudy Heineke, very detailed, and we're very sure that the evidence that we've provided here, and as well as when he was at the services CETA, you can see the modus operandi of what is clear transgressions of the Public Finance Management Act and manipulation of tender processes to ensure that connected people are awarded tenders that were going to score them mega millions of rands.
How does all of this reflect on the Higher Education Department, the Higher Education Minister? Because in recent days there's been a statement coming out of that department, the ministry, basically to say that, NSFAS had given a satisfactory explanation, if you will, for the way in which this whole saga had played out and what needed to be done, etc.
Well, that's the big question. We have brought it to the attention of Minister Bladen Zamande. We've written to his office. We have made this so obviously open in the public space because we don't get responses from many government institutions and heads of departments who think they can just fob civil society off and ignore our pleas. And, when we say please, we plea to people in positions of power to listen and to look at the evidence we give them because this is our money. This is the students' money. This is taxpayers' money that's being abused. And corruption, as we know, through our state capture years, hasn't stopped. So when Bladen Zamande comes back and says, no, we've had a look and everything's fine, well, I can tell you he didn't look. If he had got an independent investigation going and contacted Outa and said, show us the details that you have, tell us why you see something is wrong, he would have. If he was serious about fighting corruption and dealing with the mess, not only in NSFAS, by the way, in many of his CETAs. In fact, that entire department, if you put a special investigation into every department under Bladen Zamande, I think you will uncover corruption throughout most of the areas. So he's not taking this matter seriously. And when he makes comments like that, all I can tell you is that he needs to look at himself in the mirror and answer the questions that you are asking now, because I don't think he's taking it seriously.
Wayne Duvenage, good to speak to you. Wayne is head of Outa, the organization undoing tax abuse.